Queenstown at any time of the year can boast more than its fair share of active types. They come with a huge number of outdoor activities on offer. But there's one weekend in November that is quickly becoming known as a must-do for runners. The Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon is now in its second year and is fast developing into New Zealand's biggest running festival. 9,000 runners from across New Zealand and from around the world have made the trip south for this 2015 event. The destination is the attraction here, combining the best scenery in the world with a huge range of activities and sophisticated shopping and dining. Queenstown is the perfect weekend destination. The marathon course weaves its way through the best of it. Unchanged since last year, the course starts in Arrowtown and makes its way across the Wakatipu Basin. Circling Lake Hayes, taking in the Shotover and Kawerau rivers, the run follows Frankton Arm to the finish line in Queenstown. The course is largely flat, with just a few climbs to keep it interesting. In year two, it's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And judging by the size of the field lining up for the start of the Essex Half Marathon, there is little need to meddle with the formula. 5,400 runners line up for the start of this sold-out event.
First wave. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Today is very much a festival of running. The half-distance event will be followed by the marathon, the 10k run and kids races. The Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon reached Year 5 targets in its first year and has grown another 50% for 2015.
As a benchmark for a goal in life that people have, I think it's still up there with any other goal. To complete a marathon or a half marathon is still a big bucket list that people want to tick. And it's hard to see that dying in the near future. To grow 50% again on what we did last year was we're really, I guess, surprised, but really excited about. Queenstown is, one of New Zealand's, if not the most popular tourist destination in the country. And to put an event in that's got something for everyone, a really challenging marathon with a 10k run. It's a destination that New Zealanders and international people want to travel to. There's so much to do here. And then the last factor, I think, is the Air New Zealand partnership, and having an airline on board like that to help promote the event. They really get in behind it. They've got over 200 staff taking part. So this year they've put on an extra 22 flights into the region. And last year, on the Friday before the event, was the single biggest day that ever had on the domestic network in terms of passenger movements. So it's been a real boom for them and a great win-win. So it's been a great thing for the event.
The 2,100 full-distance marathoners gather at Arrowtown's Millbrook Resort for the start of their race. Top guns at the front, behind them the remainder of the field from fastest to slowest. Everyone here has their own race to run and their own goals to achieve. It's overcast and mild with very little wind as the race gets underway. Perfect conditions for running. Runners file through the arch, hitting start on their stopwatches as they go. The runners file down the stunning tree-lined avenues at Millbrook and make their way into Arrowtown, filling the historic main street of the little town. The opening kilometres ease runners into the event. The course runs gradually downhill, heading off Arrowtown streets and onto the Arrow River Trail for 4 kilometres. Leading the pack through the first kilometres into Arrowtown is a group of 5 men, amongst them last year's winner and defending champion James Parsons in the White Cat. This picturesque off-road running is what makes the Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon. 70% of the race is off-road on hard-packed trails like these. The trails are developed and maintained by the Queenstown Trails Trust. As the official charity, the event makes a donation for every entry, contributing towards the upkeep and future development of the trail network. In years to come, new trails will be incorporated into the course. At the end of the Arrow River Trail, a small group of 4 emerges running together. James Parsons is still in there, along with Graham Taylor from Nelson leading the charge. Not bad for someone in the 40-plus category. Australian triathlete John Songay is in the mix, but the most experienced marathoner in the group would be Tony Payne in the blue singlet. He ran a PB of 2:24.55 in Rotterdam earlier this year. In the women's elite race, Mel Aitken from Christchurch is running comfortably in second place. It's deja vu for Aitken, who finished second here last year behind the current race leader Victoria Beck from Dunedin. The defending champion is 2.5 minutes up after 10k and running at a blistering 3:48 per kilometre. Now based in Australia, Beck has started to establish herself as one to watch with wins and podium finishes at several marathons and half marathons around the world. In third place is Annabelle Bramwell from Christchurch. She's a soccer player in the US, a Kona Ironman competitor in the past, and today tracking for a podium finish in the marathon. With 9,000 runners across all categories, the event expects to get through 10,000 litres of water and 8,000 litres of Powerade. At the end, there will be almost 80,000 paper cups to pick up and recycle. Big numbers, but keeping hydrated is critical. For half of last year's field, the Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon was their first crack at marathon running. Many have returned in 2015, and for some, the experience has been hugely significant.
Hanging in there, brother. Paula's just up there somewhere. Hey, there she is, just there.
How are you?
So far, so good?
So far, so good. No rain. Feeling pretty good. Nearly 10k down. Not too bad.
I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for just over 2 years now. My life has been a battle for a very long time, and I suppose I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for running. This is just my sobriety arm. It started a few years ago. One of the jobs I was at, I was a team leader. I had like 10 to 12 staff reporting to me, and it was really stressful. I started to have a few drinks during the day to get through the day, and then it got to the point where I was having too many. I rang my husband up one day. I said, look, you need to come get me. I've been drinking. We went to a crisis meeting at the hospital and met a few other people, and from that day on, I've not touched a drop. With the running, it clears my head. I get out of the office every day, go out for a run. It is addictive. And the more you do, the further you go. And I feel better for it, you know. My head's clear, not like it used to be. I was cloudy for many years. I was quite cloudy. And if I don't go out for a run, I feel sluggish. I don't have a good day, and I've got to do it. After doing the Queenstown Marathon, I am getting my first medal. I've never got a medal before in my life, and I got it tattooed on my side to remind me of my first medal ever and my first marathon ever, and it's just amazing. And since then, my husband and I have done 3. Well, this one coming up will be our 4th marathon this year. And like I said, I think I said earlier, if it wasn't for running and for my supportive husband, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Every one of the 9,000 participants in this year's event has their own reason for running, but for most, the scenery is key. The Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon offers something unique to runners, an alpine marathon which is pretty flat and which challenges any event in the world for views and vistas. Coming off Lake Hayes and onto Speargrass Flat Road, the halfway point of the race is closing in for the elite men. It's Tony Payne from Auckland and defending champion James Parsons who have made a move off the front. They kicked on the Lake Hayes loop and have opened up a 90-second gap back to Graham Taylor. Despite being almost 20 years their senior, Taylor is holding his own as the kilometres tick past. Almost 3,000 of the 9,000 participants here in 2015 are over 40 years of age, with the oldest being 91. If you're looking for a reason not to run, age isn't it.
I took up running about 18 months ago because I was asked frequently by patients whether it was okay to start running later on in life. And I thought, maybe not. And that would be my answer most of the time. But then I thought, I'll check on myself. So I started running. I didn't like it. I thought, well, I'll just give it 3 months and see how it is, because it's a fair amount of time. And then I really fell in love with it. It didn't hurt. It made me feel alive. I had more energy. I felt really, really good. And I thought, if you do it slowly and don't push yourself too hard at first, it's fine. It clears your head. It can be quite meditative. You get a lot of answers to the problems that you are thinking through in your runs. Really amazing insights. So it's good for your mind and your body and your spirit. It's really an all-over exercise. And it's, you know, it's cardio, it burns fat. It's easy and you can do it anywhere at any time. Not a shame, but it would be good for those of us who are blessed with good health to perhaps give thanks. Get out there, enjoy this beautiful, amazing place, the most beautiful place in the world, and yeah, enjoy it.
Into the final third, and in the men's elite race, the defending champion is under threat, and so is his race record. Tony Payne from Auckland made a move approaching the old Shotover Bridge and is going it solo, running 3:30 Ks and getting faster. Behind him, James Parsons has dropped his pace to 4-minute Ks and is losing ground quickly.
Pushed too hard, ran late Ks, paid for it the last 10K. The band really fired me up. Jimmy, well, the middle, great song. He's coming closer, I can see.
Behind Parsons, Graham Taylor has maintained a consistent pace throughout and is closing the gap as they make the turn onto the Kawerau River Trail. "20 minutes back, Victoria Beck has got herself into a good position at the front of the elite women's race. She leads by 8 minutes from Mel Aitken. Approaching the old Shotover Bridge, however, all is not looking well for Beck as she struggles to hold down some of her nutrition. There's still 14 kilometres to run, which is a long way with an upset stomach.
Well done, keep it going. Very good. Thank you.
For the majority of the 2100 marathon runners out on course, the Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon is a shared social experience. For many, running with a group is what makes the activity so enjoyable.
I got into marathon running because I was asked to run a marathon for a charity. I was going to be sponsored and I only had 5 months to train for the Auckland Marathon. And I needed a bit of a challenge. My daughter was getting older and I thought, yeah, why not? And I did it and I had the most wonderful sense of achievement because not everybody can, that's the thing.
To be honest, running a marathon was something that I never thought I'd ever do. The only reason I got into it in the first place was a couple of years ago. A friend of mine who's blind was doing the New York Marathon and wanted someone to train with. And I guess once you've done the 42 Ks, you know, it's not this big monster anymore. You know that you can actually go and do it. And so, yeah, the trick is not to think too much about what you're actually doing and the steps in front of you. The wonderful thing about the Air New Zealand Queenstown Marathon is that you've got this incredible scenery around you, and I think a lot of the run will be taken up just absorbing that.
It was really hard work setting off marathon running, and I've done it fat, really fat, and I've done it not as fat, and it's a lot easier not as fat. You know, at the 32K mark, every fibre of your being, if you've got an ounce of common sense, is going, this is stupid. This is a really dumb thing to be doing. Just stop now, you know, and you have to really fight to get through that.
The great thing with Get Running is that you've got other people who are running about the same pace as you, and you can talk and forget that you're doing a 30K run that day, or at least for half of it. And so that part of the experience has just made it a lot easier.
I love meeting people from all walks of life, and you don't know who they are or what they do because we're all in Lycra together, and Nobody looks terribly flash after a 3-hour run, 3-hour training run, and I really enjoy the camaraderie and the support. You get as much joy out of somebody finishing a marathon in 2 hours 50 as you do when they do it in 6 hours 50. It's that collegiality of it, I suppose.
For Tony Payne, the end is finally in sight. After 42 kilometres, he arrives in Queenstown and approaches the finish line with an advantage of over 5 minutes and 30 seconds back to second.
The 2015 the New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon. Please welcome Mr. Tony Payne. New race record.
Tony Payne crosses the line with a new race record time of 2 hours, 30 minutes and 31 seconds. 3 minutes and 10 seconds quicker than the time set by James Parsons in 2014.
Marvelous stuff, really wonderful. And more finishes coming home.
The consistent running of Graham Taylor pays off, and he enters the finish area in second place. Having paced himself brilliantly from the first kilometre to the last, Taylor finishes in 2 hours, 35 minutes and 19 seconds. Third place goes to Australian runner John Songay from Adelaide. He finishes 3 minutes later in 2 hours, 38 and 33.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's a great way to start the day. I'm down for a friend's wedding this afternoon, so it's got to be a pretty good day, I think. It was pretty tough. I managed to break away at about 22, 23k. I just tried to keep ticking off the Ks and really battled up the hill at 30k. It was really tough, but yeah, running through the main street and with the crowd was fantastic. It really pushed me towards the end.
Colin will be racing next year as a single man.
I felt better, but I've definitely felt a lot worse, so it was okay. Yeah, it's never easy. It's survival the last 5k, but it's I didn't have the wall, but that's yeah.
Victoria Beck has battled her way through the final 14 kilometres with increasing stomach problems. Just a few hundred metres from the finish line, she's forced to double over as it all gets too much. Despite her stomach, Beck has led for every step of the 42.2 kilometres and is just seconds away from a successful defence of her title. Victoria Beck enters the finish with a 5-minute lead and crosses the line in 2 hours, 55 and 52 seconds.
I felt really good actually for the first 26k, and then as I said, I've been battling some gastritis, so it caught up with me a little bit in the last 15k, so held me back a little bit, but I think I'm still pretty happy with my race. Very relieved it's over. Now I can just recuperate a little bit, so looking forward to that.
In the women's marathon, second here last year. Let's make plenty of noise.
Mel Aitken repeats last year's second place finish, crossing the line 7.5 minutes behind Beck. In the race for third, it comes down to the final kilometre. Having held on for 41k, Annabelle Bramwell is passed by Daniel Nicholson from Dunedin. It's a cruel turn for Bramwell, but a great result for Nicholson, who has made her final 5k her fastest of the day to earn herself a podium place. So, confirmation of the final men's and women's placings. A new course record in the men's event on a day with perfect conditions for running. With the winners decided, the focus returns to the rest of the field, finishing their own individual challenges. The smiles and celebration as runners complete the event bear no relation to the time on the clock. Finishing a marathon, half marathon or a 10k isn't necessarily about your overall place. It's about finishing in your own way and your own time.
So pleased with that. Yeah, a bit tough in the first half, especially with undulating hills, But then I saw him at about 5k out. All right, let's do it together. Yep. My PB, your PB. I just wanted to get under that 4:30, which is my PB's 4:33 in the Gold Coast, but my PB here is 4:40, so I knocked off 10 minutes, so I'm wrapped.
5 minutes to go. Enjoy the accolade. 6 minutes to go.
Great. Oh, what an experience.
The marathon deserves respect, and you go into it at your peril if you don't. There are plenty of people finishing quicker than us, but it was great having Mike as my running mate. It truly is the most beautiful marathon I've ever seen. I thought Paris was, but this easily beats it.
I was really pleased. I think I came in 4:30 something, maybe 4:35. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, it's not an easy course, but it's an enjoyable course and it's a testing course. And look at the atmosphere around here now. It's, you know, and we're in Queenstown, so the day's still young.
Congratulations to all of the 9,000 participants in the 2015 Air New Zealand Queenstown International Marathon.